Good morning. All right, let's get some charts up here. See where we're at here in crazy land. Okay, here's our overnight. Came back an awful lot off of the lows there. It's kind of messy here. Futures, big bottoming tail bar. One of the things I spoke about in the weekend letter was ranges have to contract. These ranges being as wide as they are like this, they're not conducive to trading the time frame that you're looking at. Fine for day trading, these big wide ranges, looking to get in at the extremes, if you can pick the extremes with the appropriate tools. Um, but what we have happening right now, and is a big retracement off of that low, and there was nothing to the left to support it. Just see here. Yeah, it just stopped there. Maybe the NASDAQ stopped at a location. That's one of the things that we look at when we look at different markets. Sometimes the S&Ps hit a support area, and or the Qs do, and that helps lift another market. See, I got see here. It was like a pivot line down there, which it pushed down through. In any event, it was trending down and bottomed out there just before uh, the DAX opened up, which is around 3 o'clock, and started trending higher. See consolidation that's going on right now. So when the pivots, which these are marked here, they're marked, higher high, lower low, whatever, double bottoms and stuff, get tight like that. The trading range is narrowing, and that's what's happening. But let's see. So you had a deep retracement on the 5, and now a deep retracement back up again after retesting these lows. So buyers continue to be somewhat aggressive, off of this bounce. And can they get it through here? And so that's what we'd be looking for. When the market was open, going to get through here was to get some kind of rejection in an area of resistance where it would roll back over again. Um, or does it hold and move up? As we see what's happening in the moment, the right edge of the chart, we have done the analysis of what preceded that, and then we wait for our setup that's going to guide us to the next direction. So we do that with price action, where others may do that with who knows what, indicator based stuff, I suppose. But it's in this area of minor resistance. It doesn't mean it can't get through it, but what we look for is confirmation. We don't have any of that yet. Confirmation that it would turn back lower here. And I'm just looking back a little further. There was the new high, the breakdown below major support. It held the area of the prior support right back up again. And the S&Ps did, not the futures, because looking at this, it didn't make a marginal new high, but the depth of retracement, what we have is, if this bar was completed, you got a pivot. So you got pivots there, you got pivots down there. And the markets are in a trading range. This market is in a trading range with a lot of whipping back and forth, which communicates uncertainty. And like the buyers, they're not throwing in the towel with all this craziness that's going on. They're buying the dip. And this is often the case with markets that have been in uptrends. And you might think, well, why do certain patterns happen? Well, could be, like news like we have now, but sometimes the bullish biases dissipate over a longer period of time, and they form longer trading ranges or head and shoulders tops where there's that distribution as opinions begin to change over a slower amount of time. Whereas if something, what is something? Something more violent, something that would shock the markets. Um, we have some really big reversals, and that could get things moving, um, where buyers really start to begin to doubt their bias to buy the dip regardless of whatever's happening. So as we look at this chart at this moment in time, what we see is they bought the dip again. And as we look at different instruments, we look at that and say, well, you know what? Look, they bought the dip before it got down here. So that shows a certain level of confidence. This broke down and it cleared that. And again, it didn't come down here to the swing low, came up above that. So, and it's another display of, I use the analogy Mr. Schizophrenic, because strength, normal pullback, strength, what the hell happened all the way back down and then right back up again. And you get that kind of EKG type of chart where it's insanity. For the moment, the insanity has not dissipated enough yet. And what that means is contraction in ranges. We do not have that at this moment. Right. Qs, same story. Break out above the highs. These are the futures, and deep move back down again, coming up toward resistance. Same analysis. We can see all same pattern, of course, so it's going to be the same. Going to consolidate and come back up to the highs up here, where it'll be stiffer resistance, or does it start to roll here and violate the support and go back down and test the lows? So it's kind of like ping pong back and forth. I have a question. Do you trade only S&P 500, or do you trade? We trade them all, Brownie. Get a trial to the green room. We had that special during holiday time. No brainer. My geez, don't get me. I'm not raising my voice to in a way to be upset with you. I get. It's like you guys. Some of you are here on each morning. I know you maybe do your own thing, but even if you're not participating by having conversations like many do in the green room, when you have that moment of conversation or want to know what we're doing, or uh, participate in a trade, the cost is on a day-to-day basis is so low. And that's the way we made it. And so to be there and ask these questions and see what we're doing, but no, we trade the Russell, the Qs, the Dow, leveraged ETFs, futures at times, many times. So, and then of course stocks and option trades. Everything I talk about here and Dan talks about as far as technical patterns go, it's applicable to any time frame or any instrument. We apply the same method to whatever it is. So deep pullback on a closing basis, give or take the middle of the range. And as I said, same story. So we look around to see, are there differences in markets? And what I see in this one, it's a little more orderly as far as the whips up and down. Here, you had a lower high, lower low into this support, and then a monster rally. Monster meaning on a very short-term basis of, 2 or 3 weeks. It was a very nice rally, and this was a pretty abrupt turn, more violent with the big bars. And now it's coming down into an area where buyers should start to take control. So this is much more historically uh, the norm and how this would act. It's still like this is today's bar. It's got to calm down, where we would say, can it make the turn here? Or is it just another down day? We have to see. Mm. All right. Last, I'm going to look at the Dow, then we'll look at SPX, and then we'll come and look at the, metals. Yeah. So the Dow is just, wow, what whippy piece of mess that is. Lots of overlapping bars, just a picture of uncertainty, but maybe more so where it's ready to calm down. When you've got all this overlapping mess here, historically, it's more difficult for it to advance unless, again, you get some big bar, maybe a big gap down reversal where it creates what I'd call a flush. So you get this uncertainty and maybe some news hits, and you have a pattern, not just the Dow, it could be whatever. It gaps down big and you get a big rally up there and it just flushes out all the stops. And that causes the ability to move up with greater ease because this was created by buying. And so if you get a flush, then you see how did the prices go through that resistance so easily? Well, because of the flush. And that's not happening here. But I just thought I'd point that out. All right. Join the green room. You have these kind of conversations. Consider swing course, the bar by bar course. I went into such detail about so many things with videos, with charts at the time, slides plus live charts at the time. Very pleased with how that course turned out. All right, so SPX, that looks like a bad tick, but based on the futures, we'd assume it still looks like a bad tick anyway. It had gap down to this support level. So this makes more sense. Just looking at this, you can see where my cursor is and where it is in relation to this chart over here. Let's see the 65-minute, which you can see big whips back and forth there. Any event. So where are they at here today? They're at the bottom part of Friday's range. You can see the cursor on the daily chart as I'm moving around there. There's the weekly chart over there if you're interested. That's just a mess. So you see the markets really haven't gone anywhere other than whipping up and down since October. Pretty close to in the same range with lots of whips back and forth. All right. So it's inching up here a little bit toward the gap. And eyeballing that. And here's SPX. These numbers may have changed a little bit since it's inching up. I'll take a look. Yes. So that came up 5 handles. And, as I'm doing this could change. This could change by the time the open happens for sure. Give or take, it's not going to change that much. But while I'm here talking, I look to see what the numbers are. 69.85. So it came up 5 on both sides. Okay, so there's your six 6,800. I wrote that wrong. Sorry. Good. 69.85. Okay. So there you have it. And prices are about here. Can it get to either one of those today? Well, sure. On any given day. It doesn't happen that often, but yes, of course it could. I think it's less likely to go up. And if Bitcoin is still getting shellacked, which is down 7%, maybe it can, but Friday's low is going to be an area of support in 6,900. This is a critical point, I think, you can see all the middle of these bars, give or take, around 6,900. A close below that today opens up the door to coming down here. So I don't think it can go down there today. I think it's less probable. It's major support. It's a strong support area. So when you see a far strike, even if it's nose diving down here early in the day, you'll be able to get premium below that. And that'd be a good thing. All right, let's look around. Others. Then I'll hand it to Dan because a little long here. Bitcoin crashing, continuing. It's got plenty of room to drop. And so one of the things I wrote about in the letter over the weekend was if this is going down, maybe it starts dragging other markets down. Traders need to exit positions. It's kind of a measure of risk off. You have all of this consolidation, which communicated uh, accumulation. It broke out and now it's failing. So they said they thought it was going to go up, and that it is what it is, and things change. And when you have patterns of this size and they fail, you tend to get violent reactions. That's the psychology of the pattern. And there's silver. There's coming down some more. That's not unexpected. Um, look at gold in a second. And you guys all know what's going on there. There's Erythium, nasty gap down. Terrible, almost down to here. So tremendous losses, or people seeing, if they bought any here, seeing profits evaporate in the blink of an eye. And that's fast markets. Gold, well, bouncing. Look, how many times can I say it? And I should just have a button that says, I press it and it says, look to the left, look to the left. You don't need all the other wiggly crap. Right? Coming down to support, buyers down there. Copper got whacked, not as badly, but watching all of these to see if they stabilize like everything else. They're going to turn there. Um, Interest rates aren't doing much of anything. So we're keeping an eye on that to see if the bond market is going to make some decisions here about the direction of intermediate to long-term interest rates. The 13-week is not doing anything, stabilized. So we know that we knew that there wouldn't be any cut, right? So you didn't have to go to the CME tool or anything. When you look at this chart, you know what the Fed's going to do. It's worked for decades. And other than that, well, there's oil, and then I hand it over to Dan. So oil is down a little bit today, and after that run up. So there you have it. Yeah. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, it's Greg. I typed in the weekend letter that when we were sending the letters, that Bitcoin at the time was up 75.5. And so that's a nice little crack. We're short ETHA, Erythium, and the ETF letter. And I moved stop 30-minute high, by the way, in case you want to change it. It's gapping down 15%. I don't know. Rather take the money. So yeah, we shorted that breakdown. I guess we're not going to hear Scaramucci and the ARC lady and all those Bitcoin finiciatos saying how stable it is. Alarms, I only have, we have fairly light inventory. Docs is one, we're short. My low alarm went off. We're in trail mode, looks great. Bid, we have a half lot. That up alarm went off. That looks great. Continuation pattern, all these sideways bars. And it has a void. Looks like it's headed to 185 or 186. Tiva. That's a nice 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Yeah, I love gap reversal 1, 2, 3s. And then you have it triggered on Friday, Thomas, but it gapping up a little bit, still looks great. And I think you can use stop Thursday's low based on Friday's close. Sophie, yeah, you need a balance right there at the 200, down a lot from 28. Well, that's down more from 30. That's a big drop. Let's watch some of these critical materials sector. I see a number of these relative strength. Look at USAR gapping up. Like Papa. That one's a whole lot sloppier, but USAR looks good. Silver. Yeah, silver and gold now have these intraday, or not intraday, but intra-week expirations. It's not every day like SPY, but it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, giving us many more opportunities to sell options. So I have this. Wow, is that real? This went to 65. I don't know if that's real or not. But yeah, I know the spiders are well off the overnight lows. So I'll be watching that. Alarms, some more alarms here on things we're looking at. XLRE, my up alarm right here, print went off. It's sloppy, but it's a buy setup with a multi-bar turn, bullish weekly. And then WPC, bull flag. I had an up alarm go off. We'll watch it at the open. I'll put it here. AXGN. Beautiful pattern. Buy setup, bullish turn. I'll put that in a window to watch it at the open. Yeah, that looks great. I mean, it's just so much better looking than the broader markets. Also, our Mantronic we're in. Another continuation pattern looks great. Looks like that's going to 105. We'll get $2 more to go. O is in the read, another bull flag. Looks good. Those are all the alarms. Gaps too much. Let's see a couple earnings here. NMR, Numora, just gapping down, no pattern. It's an ADR. Same. Mitusi. Like I said, a USB alarm go off. Banking stock. I guess that up alarm went off. A couple regional banks still look good. Disney earnings was up this morning. Look at that. What's up with, wow. It's a big reversal. 118 now to 108. That's a $10 reversal. Well, I wonder what the heck they said. This looks like a 30-minute low short. Set this prior low, but look, that's a little bear flag sell setup. So, it's capped in this prior low, but let's see what it does in 30 minutes. Tyson, no pattern. That's a mess, but looks lower actually. 103.80. We'll come back to it. CEO leaves soon. So is that new information? Because I thought they knew that, but the way it's reacting, yeah. So if they know it, then why the pre-market reversal? Has to be something different. Nothing. Now this one, if we get a 1, 2, 3, well, it's gapping down, but that looks lower. Nice closing range expansion breakdown. Google has earnings coming up in 2 days. And then I read that they're whammo, they're, I guess, talking about spinning that off to go public. Oracle was in the news, has a big pre-market swing here. Wow, it's a monster swing, 158 to 176. They said they're going to try to raise 50 billion to go spend more on AI. Same old story. But that same old story is what hurt them, that they're overspending. So I'm personally just kind of surprised that it's up on that news. And TFC, another financial here, Alex. These are on yours. This Inverse Head and Shoulder. I like that. I'm gonna put that in a window. And that I like better than the USB, but they're both similar and strong. The TFC looks good. WPC we talked about. Home Depot. Put spread idea. And LOW, came from an M top. Home Depot's better. Housing here, sloppy, but it's in the area where it should turn. And TTC is strong. Walmart alarm just went off. Strong. Yeah, I prefer this obviously to be a V top instead of overlapping bars. But we got a 4-bar turn, 20 above 50. So the Walmart's strong. Hold on. H Hotel breakdown. Duolingo. Man, look at this. You know, Greg and I have been, we always say there's bear markets all over, on individual stocks or sectors. That IGV is in a bear market. Look at this thing, 535 down to 133. That's in a bear market. And look, that's steady selling. No turn at all. Builder in an area where it should turn, but we need a potent turn. We don't have it yet. CSX, little bull rectangle. I'd like to go sideways a little more, but transport, railroad, bullish daily, weekly, monthly. This is in an area where it can turn. I like. Set an alarm 5470. Plant alarm, that's a Climo, but there's no turn. So just watch it. This uniform bottom right, gapping into this bar. It was looking great pre-market here, but now it's pulling in. I'll keep an eye on it. BCC buy setup, gapping up. That could be a 30-minute high trade. Let me check these ones that gapped over the entry. All right, WPC did not gap over it, so that would be a clean hit. I'll reset the alarm. My alarm went off pre-market. Q's perking here. Apple is the best. Netflix weak. Apple looks good. Looks good. Took out Friday's high. Yeah, looks good. Yeah, I don't like trading the first 5 minutes, particularly on Mondays, but that looks good. I'm checking put spread, but yeah, directional looks like it's gonna go to the 50. 252.50 puts for Friday. 8 cent. Oh, that's zero DTE. Yeah, we got zero DTEs now and a number of FANG stocks. So this one I could do the 255s are only 11 cents. So, that's going to be a problem. It's good to have multiple expirations, but the same old, what are you going to pay me? The more DTE, the more you get paid. It's like an insurance policy. All right, 252 for Friday. Living alarm is only 33 cents. But living is a long breakout. Five, nine, six. Oh, Oscar. I said bye. All right, over 61.23. So now that will be a clean hit. Let me reset the alarm. Oh, Oscar. Diamonds at the low after a 15-minute breakout failure on Friday. CAG. Bib up alarm. A bib, the back half triggered. WPC alarm. That's the bull flag and a REIT. ACM. Yeah, that'd be a day trade only to me. Came down so hard. You got all these MAs, but you got a nice breakout on the 15. Right, 11 triggered JP Morgan. We have a put spread, low alarm, but it's okay. Oh, Q's and spiders filled the gap. Diamonds turned around. So starting out here, bullish, particularly after the overnight big old gap down. GT1 looks good. Summer longs trigger and update the sheet. Doc's doing fine. Red tea, we're short. That was in the weekend letter, John, but I don't see my alarm going off unless it went off pre-market. Maybe it, yeah, I think it did. 1 second. Oh yeah, I see it on, I have it in a window on my other computer. XGM. See, I gave 5 minute high on that because it gapped over the entry. So we got to decide how to enter that now. I don't like buying the pullbacks that have a topping tail though. Let's put it over on WPC we're in. Yeah, I'm gonna say hold off. I'll watch it. Or we can do a pullback into the gap. TTC triggering. A lot of, I'm surprised, a lot of stuff triggering. With the market gap down.
Costco shaping up here, making a turn.
Yeah, I got it as a put spread watch. Yeah, I sent it to Telegram pre-market. It closes like that. LYB. So now I don't want to buy it if it runs that far. Well, actually, I'll just set a lower alarm on 47.50. Because see, now if it does trigger, the stop is today's low. Because you got your line in the sand of how far it can retrace into that WRB. Oh, Oscar, that looks like that triggered $60 calls. 60. Um, it puts, yeah, looks good. Yeah, yeah. I think we got evidence of they're buying the dip. Yeah, I like it. I mean, I'd rather a pullback to get a better price, but looks good. For a zero DTE here. And it looks the best of those four. Do diamonds have intradays, intra-weeks now? They do not. How retarded is that? That they now have some fangs with multiple expirations, but not the friggin' diamonds. Go figure. Depot was over. That's not triggered yet. I made it a little harder to trigger. All right, SLV still doing nothing. Humana got a downgrade today, so that's not going to trigger. That was a put spread idea. NVIDIA put spread is danger, danger. You know, gap down. I'm not doing that AI deal. Opens real quick. Bib, Docs, Medtronic. Where's our stuff? Monster. JP Morgan. Let's snap back a little bit.
All those financials, some look better than the others, but they may be setting up maybe his put spreads for sure, but
Yeah, the XLF.
stabilized.
Yeah, XLF is making a turn. Yep. Yeah, USB, Alex, and I wrote this other one down. Where are you? Uh, TFC. That one. Shoot, I should have posted that one. That that looks great. TFC. I mentioned it pre-market when my alarm went off. But yeah, I'll set an alarm 5670. But yeah, that other one was a go. TFC. Well, wow, 20 minutes into it, and the Bulls stepped right on up. So yeah, I like that Pittsburgh turn. Let me get this spreadsheet caught up.